Okay, class, we're up here. Okay, now we're going to use all of our skills with right triangles to solve the right triangle, to find all the pieces of the right triangle. Okay, so for A, we want to find all the missing pieces, all the sides and all the angles. So your first step is to find out, to ask yourself, what do you have two of? Do you have angles, two angles, or sides? So in this first one, what am I given? Two sides. Does that make sense? I have two sides. So the easiest thing to do is to find the third side using the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, you can find the third side by using the Pythagorean theorem. So let's remember the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals the hypotenuse. Equals the hypotenuse squared. If you do it wrong, if you don't have the hypotenuse it equal to the hypotenuse squared, then you'll get the answer wrong. So you should have 4 squared plus, we're going to make this side x squared equals the 11 squared. The hypotenuse is 11 because it's opposite DF, which is 11, is opposite the right angle, and it's the longest side. So this will give me 16 plus x squared equals 121. Subtract the 16 minus the 16. You're going to get x squared equals 105. Then we're going to put that into our calculator. You square root both sides, and you're going to get x is about, I'm going to round to the nearest tenth, so 10.24. Does the 4 make the 2 move up or stay there? Stay. So x is about 10.2. And x is representing the length of EF. So EF, let's make that E look more like an E, equals 10.2, and then this is meters. Okay, so that's one part. Okay, the next thing we need to do, step 2, is find the angles. Using trig. Okay, it doesn't matter which one you pick. You get to choose which one you want to find. Okay. So McKenna, which angle do you want to find? Angle D or angle F? Okay, angle D. Again, you could have chosen angle F and you'll be fine. So we're going to find the measure of angle D, because that's the one McKenna wanted. So here's my angle D. I need to label opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. So opposite of angle D, if I touch this with my pen or my thumb, this is the opposite side because I'm not touching that side. We've already established that the 11 is the hypotenuse. When I place my thumb on that angle, I can find this is the adjacent side because it touches my thumb. Hopefully we are proficient at labeling opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Okay. So then I'm circling the two sides that I have. So I have the adjacent, I have the hypotenuse. We're going to use SOHCAHTOA. Okay. Gavin, which trig function am I going to use to find the measure of angle D then? Okay. Cosine. Cut is opposite and adjacent, so that's the cosine. So we're going to say the cosine of D equals, remember the A is first, so the A is on top. Adjacent, which is 4, over the hypotenuse, which is 11. Any questions over that? Now we're looking for the measure of angle D, so I need to get the D by itself. So to get rid of the cosine, I need to do the inverse cosine. I would do the same thing on this side, cosine -1. Inverse cosine will cancel out the cosine, so I just get left with the D on this side. And then I'll have the inverse cosine of 4/11, sorry. I plug that into my calculator. Okay, and I get the measure of angle D should equal, Colin, what'd you get? Plug it in. Okay, you need to use the inverse cosine. Okay, so it's 68.6. Okay, we're going to round it to the nearest degree. So does the 6 make the 8 go up or stay there? Up. Okay. So the measure of angle D is about 69 degrees. Okay, now we have 2 of the angles. We just need to find the third. So our third step. The third angle using the sum of the interior angles of a triangle equals, what are the sum of the interior angles of a triangle? Equals 180. So I have a right angle. What does the right angle equal? 90 degrees, okay? So I have 90 degrees plus 69 plus the measure of angle F should equal 180. Whose phone? Was it there? Oh, okay, all those. Okay. We're going to combine our like terms. We're going to get 159 plus the measure of angle F equals 180. Subtract 159. And we get the measure of angle F is about 21 degrees. Any questions over that? Okay, so I found all my missing pieces. Now I have all the sides and all the angles. Any questions? Okay, let's try the next one. The next one, we're going to start with the same process. We have to ask that first question. What do you have 2 of? Angle or sides? And most of you guys said angles. I have 36 and then the right angle. So I'm going to do the measure of angle F plus 90 plus 36 equals 180. So you can find that missing angle by using the triangle sum theorem. I'm going to combine my like terms, get the measure of angle F plus 126 equals 180. Subtract the 126, and I have the measure of angle F is equal to 50, 54 degrees. Any questions over that? Okay, next step now, number 2. Use trig to find the missing sides. So in this one, I am missing DE and I'm missing FD. So I'm just going to label them X and Y. It doesn't matter which way you label them. You can have ED be labeled Y. You can have DF labeled X. Doesn't matter. Okay, we have to find them both though. Then we need to label the opposite adjacent and hypotenuse in regards to the angle that they gave me, which was 36. So again, I would put my thumb on that angle. That would tell me that this is my adjacent side and this one is my opposite side. And FD is the hypotenuse because it's opposite the right angle and the longest side. Any questions over that? Okay. Alex, which variable do you want to find first, X or Y? Okay, we're going to find X first, so I'm going to circle it. And then I also, since I have one variable, I can't use 2 variables in this. I can only use 1. So I have to use the side that I have, the 2.5. So let's figure out which trig function I'm going to use. So CATOA. Ramiz, which trig function would we use then? I'm using the side I have, which is the opposite, and the side I'm looking for is X, A. So which one uses O and A? TOA, which is tangent. So I'm going to do the tangent of my angle, which is 36, equals, the O is first, so the opposite on top, 2.5, over the adjacent, which is my X. Put this over 1, and then cross multiply. X times tangent of 36 is X times the tangent of 36. And then 1 times 2.5 is 2.5. Divide by the tangent of 36. Divide by the tangent of 36. And we get X equals 2.5 over the tangent of 36. Okay, plug that into your calculator. Okay, what'd you get? So you have to divide, put 2.5 in first. No, delete that out. 2.5 divided by tangent. Now do your trig. Yeah. So it's 3.44. Okay, and x represented DE. So we would say DE is about, does the 4 make it go up or stay the same? 3.4 centimeters. Any questions over that? Okay, now we're going to find the other one. We have to find y now. So I'm going to use the hypotenuse this time. And I'm still going to use the opposite 2.5 because that's the number I was given already. Celeste, what trig function am I going to use? Very good. The O and the H is so for sine. So I'm going to use the sine. So this time it's the sine of 36 is going to equal the opposite, which was 2.5, over the hypotenuse, which is my y. I put this over 1, and I cross multiply. So I have y times the sine of 36 equals 1 times 2.5, which is 2.5. Divide by the sine of 36. Divide by the sine of 36. These will cancel out. And I get y is equal to 2.5 over the sine of 36. Let's plug that into our calculators. Kramer, I'm going to ask you, so do the math in your calculator, please. This right here? Yeah. Okay. You have the same? Okay. Hang in there. Okay. 4.25. Okay, and so that side was DF. Is about, okay, does the 5 make the 2 go up or stay the same? So it's 4.3 centimeters. So now I have all my missing angles and my missing sides. We did all that fun work. Yay. Okay, you guys are going to do C. Do C in your pairs. I'm going to combine and check. Shh, quiet down, please. Okay, so we should have used the Pythagorean theorem. 4 squared plus 4 squared equals x squared. This would be 32 then equals x squared. I square root both sides, and I would get x is about 5.7. So that would be side AC is about 5.7. Any questions over that? Okay, then from there we should use an angle. Okay, which angle did you guys use first? A or C? C? Okay, so we're going to find angle C. This is the hypotenuse. This is the opposite. This is the adjacent. So then we use SOHCAHTOA. If you found angle A first, then you would be doing something different. Okay, and that's fine. I found angle C. So we're going to do the tangent of angle C, because that's the TOA, my opposite and adjacent, equals the opposite over the adjacent. So then I have to use the inverse tangent. These will cancel out, and I get C equals the inverse tangent of 4 over 4. If we reduce that to 1, you'll get the same answer. And so you should get C equals 45 degrees. And that's the measure of the angle C. Then to find the measure of angle A, you would do the measure of angle A plus 45 plus the right angle, which is 90 degrees, equals 180. You would combine your like terms and get the measure of angle A equals plus 135 equals 180. Subtract the 135, and I get the measure of angle A equals 45 degrees as well. Which makes sense, because this is an isosceles triangle. So if your two sides are congruent, then your two angles should be congruent as well. Your two base angles are congruent. Any questions over that? Okay, do D. D in your pairs. The measure of angle F was 27 degrees by using the triangle sum theorem. Then you're going to use 63. This is the opposite side. This is the adjacent side. This is the hypotenuse. Some of you guys are still having issues identifying opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Okay? So come get help. Put your thumb on the line. Figure it out. Come. If you're still struggling, please come get help from me. The 5 is the opposite side, and I'm going to find this is x and this is y. So to find x, I'm going to have the tangent of 63 equals the opposite of 5 over the adjacent of x. If I solve that, I would get x equals, let's double check my answer, 2.5, about 2.5, and that was DE, was about 2.5. To find the other side, you're still going to use the 5, and now I have to use the hypotenuse to find the y. So that would be sine. So you would have the sine of 63 equals the opposite of 5 over the hypotenuse of y. When you solve that, you would get y is about 5.6. And so that was DF. was about 5.6. Any questions over that? We're all good? Okay, our word problems on the back. Yay. Okay, the length of a hill in your neighborhood is 2,000 feet. The height of the hill is 750 feet. What is the angle of elevation of the hill? Okay, so we're going to just draw a hill. It's a beautiful hill. They're saying the height. The height is 750. The length is 2,000 feet. Write it down, please. They want you to find the angle of elevation. Remember, elevation is looking up. So which angle, would it be this angle or this angle would I be looking up? If I was standing on top of the hill, would I be looking up to the bottom or would I be looking down to the bottom? We're looking down, so it's not the angle of elevation. So this is my angle of elevation because if I was standing here, I'd be looking up to the top of the hill. Okay, so then from that angle, we're going to label this is the opposite. This is the adjacent. This is the hypotenuse. I have to use the two sides that I've been given. So we're going to use SO, CA, TOA. I have the O and the H, so that's my sign. So I'm going to have the sine of X equals the opposite of 750 over the hypotenuse of 2,000. So I'm going to have the inverse sign on both sides. This will cancel out and I get left with X. And I'll have the inverse sign of 750 over 2,000. Let's plug that into our calculators. Casey, I'm going to ask you, so make sure you're doing it. Casey, what'd you get? 22. So the angle of elevation was 22 degrees. Okay, the design for part of a water ride at an amusement park is shown. The ride carries people up a track along ramp A, B. Then the riders travel down a water chute along BC. What is the total distance the raft travels? So we're going to draw a little raft with people. Okay, and they're going up the hill and then back down the hill. And we want to know what that total distance is. Okay, any ideas on how we're going to start this problem? Would be the easiest thing to find to begin with. Do I have the Pythagorean theorem though? I only have one side. Yes, but I don't need an angle, right? I need length of sides in this case. Yeah? Yes. So notice I have two triangles. I have this triangle, that is a right triangle. And I have this triangle, that is a right triangle. So I can find this side. I can find AB to find that length. Then I can come find BC along the next part. So let's start by finding AB. Here's the angle I've been given, 35. It's 35 is touching the 50 foot, so that's my adjacent side. Okay. Angle A is also touching this side, which is the hypotenuse. The one it's not touching is my opposite. Okay, so I have to use the side I've been given. So I have to use the adjacent side of 50. And I have to use the side I'm looking for. And the side I'm looking for is my x, which happens to be my hypotenuse. So again, we do so. Katoa. Okay, Blake, which trig function am I going to use here? Which is cosine. Because the cosine uses my adjacent side of my hypotenuse side, which I have. So I do the cosine of 35 degrees equals the adjacent is the first one, so that goes on top, 50 over the hypotenuse is next, so that's my x. Any questions? Okay, put this over 1 and cross multiply. So I have x times the cosine of 35 equals 1 times 50, which is 50. Then we divide by the cosine of 35, divide by the cosine of 35. This will cancel out. Okay, so we have x is about 61? 61.0, right? And these are feet. Any questions? So I have part of the way that I'm traveling in my raft. We need to find the other part. Any ideas on how I can find the other part? Find BC. Kramer, why don't you move over here for me? Who was talking over here then? Okay. Alex, move over here. Any ideas? Yes. Okay, good. So I'm going to not find an angle. I'm going to find the segment length of BD, which is what you meant to say. So we want to find BD first. So that's going to be my y. So this time I have to use the opposite and the adjacent to find that missing piece. Opposite and adjacent. Carson, which trig function am I going to use to find the opposite and the adjacent? Or using the opposite and the adjacent? Tangent. Okay, so now I'm going to say the tangent of 35 is about sorry, we don't need about yet, is equal to the opposite, which is y, over the adjacent, which is 50. We put this over 1, and we cross multiply. One times y, which was y. Is y by itself now? Good, so I don't have to divide by anything, so I just plug in 50 times the tangent of 35. It was 35. Okay, so now y is equal to 35 feet. 35.0, because we are rounding to the nearest tenth. Okay, so now we can find, since this is 35.0, we can find my y value, BC, by using the Pythagorean theorem. Last step. Okay, so y is the hypotenuse here in this case. So we should have 35 squared plus 42 squared equals y squared. Oh, we shouldn't do y. We already used y, right? Let's do z. Any questions? Have I lost anyone? We're okay? So 35 squared is a big number. 1225 plus 42 squared. 1764. So that's 2989 is equal to z squared. Square root both sides, and I get z equals is about 54.7 feet. Okay, now what? Yes, we have to add the two sides, right? I need to add this side and this side together, right? So I'm going to get 61 plus 54.7. Do I need the 35 in this at all? No, my raft is not going to go straight down, and if it does, we're in big trouble and we get to have a really big lawsuit going on. So 115.7 feet. That is what we travel in our raft. Good job. Okay, your homework, you guys. Make sure you're doing the right problems. I wrote the problems at the top of the page so you don't have to do them all. Okay. When's this due? Friday. What's due tomorrow? THQ by what time? 8 p.m.